As a homeowner, it's really easy to lose sight of what's going on with our house sometimes. There are common problems that most homes have that happen over time that if we keep a watchful eye on as a homeowner, we can ensure that this doesn't happen to us. Because at some point in time, you are going to probably consider selling your house. Let's make sure that we have good home maintenance and we keep a special eye out on the things that could set us back. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, it's really easy for this to happen. It reminds me of that analogy when people say, hey, it's kind of like being a rock in a river, before the river was there. The rock was just laying out there in the middle of the desert all by itself, and then all of a sudden this little slow trickle of water kept coming and rising and rising and rising, and before the rock knew it, the water overtook it, and it was no longer in the middle of a desert, it was in the middle of a river. These kind of house problems can pop up that way. Whenever I was reading about this, it was really fascinating. There's a site that's called nachi.org, and what nachi.org is, it's actually the International Association of Certified Residential Home Inspectors, and it's really cool because they have all this information available. And whenever I was reading through their top 10 list, they say they find all the time in issues with home inspections. I thought this is actually more of like important for a homeowner to know, because these problems wouldn't exist that if we as homeowners address them. So let's take a closer look at the 10 things they report are common problems in homes, and let's make sure that doesn't happen to you. The first one is improper service grading and drainage away from the foundation of your home. And this is a big one because this one happens a lot when people go out and they have landscape redone, either the front yard or the backyard, or they see something on HGTV and they want to do some sprucing up to the curb appeal. They're not always thinking. We just don't always think about this kind of stuff. You go out there and you make a flower bed around the side of the home and you put all these wood chips up right next to the foundation without realizing that you're actually covering up part of your foundation that realistically should have 2 to 3 inches underneath where you see the bottom of your house. That's where it's attaching to the actual foundation of the home. And when you do that, the house can't breathe and it can actually start causing damage to both your foundation and the siding of your house. So what nachi.org is saying is they're saying they noticed this about 35.8% of the time according to the report they put together. And I thought this was really interesting because it's so easy as a homeowner that when we hire contractors to do landscaping, or if we want to DIY a project ourselves, if we just think about this first, we can prevent this big issue that as a homeowner can cost us huge amounts of money if we end up with a foundation problem or part of our house is starting to have a structural issue because it's degrading over time. Easiest way to go about this is to make sure that you're having that conversation with the contractors up front, and if you're doing the DIY projects, to consider having appropriate grading and drainage away from the foundation of your home. We all know that the foundation is the bedrock of our house that keeps that roof up over our head. So let's make sure that we take really good care of the foundation. The second thing is bad electrical wiring. And this happens a lot of time due to DIY enthusiasts that say, hey, you know what? There's a socket, I can change it out. Let me go change it out. There's a GFCI, I don't like that thing, it's always popping. I'm just gonna put a normal electrical outlet in it. Hold up. GFCI is an acronym from a ground fault circuit interrupt. It needs to be there because it's a safety feature, and you normally find these GFCI outlets near wet areas. There's a reason for it. So if you change it out to a normal outlet, this would constitute an electrical problem because a home inspector would go in there and say, hey, that is very unsafe. We need to get that changed into a GFCI right away. So if you notice a GFCI, you want to make sure it's changed out with a GFCI, right? The ground fault circuit interrupt, as a safety precaution for you. Now, another one of the big things underneath electrical issues is, consider when we do home renovation projects and we're adding additional overhead lighting, or we're adding pendant lights in our kitchen remodel when we're doing different things, and we're saying, hey, you know what? I wish it was a little brighter in here. I'm gonna do some undermount lightings underneath the cabinets, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install another row of 6 lights to really illuminate the space, and it's gonna be great because I can actually see the food I'm cooking, right? And it's really cool, but at the same time, what are we doing to our electrical breaker box? box. We're overloading the circuit that's associated with the kitchen in that case. So what we need to do is have that conversation with the contractors that are doing the work and make sure that we're upgrading our electrical panel box at the same time. I can give you a good case in point of this. I have added a lot of different electrical to my own home during the home renovations that I'm working through right now. And it was kind of embarrassing. I had this really big pool party this last summer. I love to throw once a year a big pool party for my past clients here in Las Vegas, invite them all over and have a great time. We have it catered, we have all the fun. And this year's food was like really good, like street tacos from a caterer. Anyways, he brought a margarita machine and we had that plugged up, and I had his stuff plugged up, and I had all the lights and the fans and the music and everything else going throughout the house and in the backyard of the house. I had the pool pumps on, and I also had a swamp cooler outside so that in 110-degree weather, my company, my past clients over there having a good time, didn't have to get hot. Well, guess what happened? All of a sudden it went poof. Everything went dark. And I was like, uh-oh. I thought, I guess I should have talked to an electrician about this electrical box of mine, because clearly I just overloaded it. So yeah, now that is added to my list of things to do and has already been done and fixed. But the point being, it's very easy to get into home renovation mode and not necessarily think about how much power you're putting into your house that wasn't there before, and what kind of power your electrical panel that's there was designed for. So when you do those upgrades, think about that so you can avoid any electrical problems, or perhaps a little bit of embarrassment when you have 114 people at your house for a pool party and everything just shuts down. Let's keep you away from that embarrassment. It's kind of funny, but it did happen. And the third thing is roofing problems. With roofing problems, these are some of the most prevalent. We don't necessarily get up on our roof and investigate and look at it, but we should get a drone flight over our roof, or get up there every now and then and check to make sure our roof is in good condition. At the same time, we should get up on a ladder, take a flashlight, investigate the interior of our attic, and make sure we don't have any penetration of water coming into the attic space itself. By the time it gets into the attic, it's already generally getting too late, because the next step that it's going to do is that water is going to start getting into the insulation, then it's going to start pooling, and then before we know it, we're going to see those moisture stains on the ceiling. By that time, it's really too late. So let's make sure that we address roofing problems right at the pass by just investigating every 3 to 6 months, taking a flashlight, looking in the attic, and checking out the roof. The fourth thing are heating system headaches. With heating system headaches, these generally apply to people that have like chimneys with wood burning fireplaces. It gets creosote in there and it starts getting all this stuff in there that's causing a fire hazard. Yes, a home inspector is going to note that, and they're going to tell you it needs to be a good chimney sweeping to go in there and get it cleaned up. The next thing that happens is you also have issues with maybe the furnace that's in the attic or in the garage or wherever it is, right? In the basement, if you have one with a boiler system, they present a lot of problems. Let's make sure that we simply contact an HVAC professional. HVAC is an acronym, by the way, for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. And let's make sure that we have a service contract in place where they come out twice a year. Once in the spring before the summer, they investigate the AC and make sure that it's ready to go. Once in the fall before the winter, to make sure the heating system is healthy and ready to go. Putting that in there will not only preserve the life of your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, it'll also help you avoid heating headaches in general. It's a good step for home ownership. It's a good step for home maintenance. Let's just go ahead and get it done and take good care of the place we rest our head, called our home. The fifth thing is poor home maintenance. Now this one really bothers me, and it's one of those things that when I get ready to meet up with a prospective home seller here in Las Vegas, Nevada, normally most of what I share with them are home maintenance things. I always suggest having a home pre-listing inspection done so we can make the repairs and we can make a good first impression and we're ready to go on the market right away. That being said, why do people not do better home maintenance? You know, I've made several videos about home maintenance by the seasons even, and it's one of those things that if we adopt healthy home maintenance practices, we can cut off things at the pass before they become really expensive to fix. Think about what we were just talking about a moment ago about roofing issues. If you were investigating your roof as part of your home maintenance, you would have addressed the issue before it started penetrating what's underneath your tile or the roof type that you have into the plyboard, into the attic, into the ceiling, which is now going to be a much more expensive fix than had you simply noticed it right on the onset and made the repair right there on the spot, right? Or contacted a roofing company to come in and make that repair. As much as that could have been from the roofing company, it'll be far more by the time you start noticing the moisture staining. Healthy home home maintenance starts with you. Healthy home maintenance is up to you. So please make a home maintenance checklist and make sure that you're going through your house every 3 months and keeping on top of everything. The sixth thing are structural issues. Going back to the example we were making when we were talking about improper sloping and drainage away from the foundation of your house. When we're talking about structural issues, a lot of them can be avoided if we're thinking through what we're having contractors do and what we're doing as DIY projects. We won't have a degrading structure if we're not overloading our structure. If you don't have the building plans to your house, then contact your city's building department and order them as a homeowner. If you're going to add an addition to your house, if you're going to add, and let's say you have a 2-story home and you want to add ceramic tile to that, let's make sure that the structure can actually support the weight of the ceramic tile. You may have noticed in a lot of 2-story homes, you generally have carpet, you have linoleum or a lighter substrate type floor than a ceramic tile. It's by design that way in many cases due to how much the actual structure can handle. And it's one of those things that a lot of us don't think about. I'm asking you to go ahead and think about it. And if you're wanting to make that upgrade to your house, let's make sure that your structure can support it. To the example about the drainage, let's make sure that we're not causing our own headache with structural issues just because we thought that a rose bed would look good next to the house or a flower bed would look good next to the house. And now over years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever the case may be, the water is leached into the actual structure and rotted out the wood that is bolted down to the foundation of your home. This is a big problem. Let's keep away from it. The seventh thing are plumbing problems. And this is one of those ones that can become especially frightening to home buyers when they get ready to buy a home. As a homeowner, let's cut it off at the pass. If you got a leaking toilet, fix it. If you got a leaking faucet, fix it. Sometimes it's just cheaper these days just to replace and go ahead and upgrade the fixtures at the same time you're doing that. All the same, let's make sure that we're actually looking underneath our sinks and investigating that pipe down there and make sure it's not leaking. Let's cut these things off at the pass because where there's a leak, especially one that's unattended, starts providing the environment for what to happen. Mold to grow. Let's not have mold in your house because of a plumbing problem. Let's go ahead and just take care of it when we see it. It goes back to healthy home maintenance habits. The eighth thing are exterior vulnerabilities. When we're talking about the exterior vulnerabilities, consider the last time that you weather stripped your front door or your back door. Consider the last time that you took a look at all your different windows in your house to see how the window is sealed. When was the last time that caulk around those windows was changed out? Probably been a while, right? When was the last time you opened and closed the window to make sure that it's working correctly? Probably been quite a while, right? So these are things that we want to address head on. These are our common problems that home inspectors across the United States are noting, and they're so easy to fix. If we just go through our home simply every 3 months, open up all the windows, look around everything on your house from the exterior point of view, and look at the front door, look at the frame around the door, look at the windows, look at the frame around the windows, and let's start cutting down the exterior vulnerabilities and making them exterior strengths, because we're doing the right thing for home maintenance and the right thing for your pocketbook by maintaining your home correctly. When you get ready to sell your home, you're going to thank yourself that you had such a watchful eye of your home. That brings us to the ninth point, which is poor ventilation in the house. Now, this is pretty interesting because a lot of us get very energy conscious is the easiest way to explain it. We want to conserve energy. So going back to weather stripping the front door, some people get a little bit excited, a little bit carried away, and they weather strip this, they weather strip that, they put weather stripping underneath it. Well, in some cases, some of those spaces are needed for ventilation of the home so your home can breathe. And what happens as a result, if you have poor ventilation, is there's more moisture staying on the inside of your house. If you have that room that you walk into right now and it feels damp, or you can smell, or you're like, why does it always smell like there's moisture in the air in here? It's because the room is not receiving proper ventilation. You need to leave that door open, and you need to make sure that you have appropriate ventilation of that room. If left unchecked and you have an increase in moisture, a lot like the plumbing problems and a lot like other moisture issues, you could be providing an environment for mold to grow, and none of us want that in our house. Let's make sure that our house can breathe. And the 10th thing are just simple miscellaneous cosmetic items. Every home has cosmetic issues. These are the cheapest and easiest to fix, and probably a little bit annoying if we're honest, because if you're touring your house every 3 months, you're gonna be like, oh my God, let me go get the touch-up paint. I just noticed this. And you paint the exterior where you saw the crack, crack. If you have a stucco house, you're like, I need to add some stucco patch to that, which now means I got to repaint over the stucco patch to make sure everything looks the same. These are minor things. These are the easiest and cheapest things to address, and it's always good as a homeowner to get on top of it. Now, whenever you're looking at putting your home on the market and you have a home pre-listing inspection, it'll be noted. It'd be really cool of you to fix those things, but when you get into the closing process, it's hard to say if it's going to become such a big issue to a prospective buyer. All the same, we know one thing about these miscellaneous cosmetic items. They're cheap to fix, they're easy to do, so let's get to it. All right, my friends, so now that you know more information about what to keep a close eye on as a homeowner with the 10 biggest things that Nachi.org are sharing with us, let's go ahead and take a closer look at what home inspectors look for. If we know what they look for, we can also look for it too as we're living in our home. And then let's take a closer look at how to do appropriate home maintenance. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.